Ever hear about binary options trading?
Hmm.
It's a world that can seem, well, deceptively simple at first, almost too good to be true.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's often because it is.
Yeah.
We're going on a deep dive today into the dark side of binary options trading. Really going to unpack how these scams work and, more importantly, how you can protect yourself.
It's important stuff.
Absolutely. We've got a lot to cover today. We're talking about like the heartbreaking stories of people who've lost everything and just the deceptive marketing tactics these companies use.
Yeah. The things they do to lure in unsuspecting victims it's pretty amazing and awful when you get into it.
Right. So to kick things off, let's start with the basics. What exactly is binary options trading? What makes it so appealing, I guess, on the surface to investors?
Okay, so at its core, binary options trading is kind of like making a simple bet, right?
Okay.
You're essentially putting money down on whether an asset will go up or down in price,
Huh?
like a stock or a commodity,
Okay.
within, and this is important, a set time frame.
So it's like flipping a coin almost, but instead of heads or tails, you're betting on these price movements.
Exactly. Now, the thing about binary options, what makes them so alluring, is the potential for high returns.
Okay.
These are often advertised as like 70 to 83% profit
Wow.
in a very short period.
Yeah, that's a massive potential gain. No wonder people are drawn to it.
Right.
But as we know, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So what's the catch here?
The catch, and this is where things get, well, dangerous, is that if your prediction is wrong, you lose everything.
You lose your entire investment.
Entire investment. And in many cases, these platforms, they're actually designed to make sure you lose.
What do you mean designed to make you lose? How does that even work?
Okay, so these platforms often use what's called price slippage. You ever notice how prices can just fluctuate really rapidly, especially when you're trying to like execute a trade?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like, it can be so frustrating.
It is, and with binary options, these platforms can exploit those rapid fluctuations.
Hmm.
Like they might show you one price on the screen, right?
Right.
But when you go to execute your trade, it's actually executed at a slightly different price, often guaranteeing you a loss.
So they're manipulating the prices to ensure that people are losing their money.
In many cases, yes. And that's just one tactic. They often make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to withdraw any remaining funds that you might have.
So even if you manage to win a few trades, they make it almost impossible to actually get your hands on that money.
Precisely. And unfortunately, this deceptive system has had, devastating consequences.
Yeah.
A lot of people. Take Stephen Cole, for example. He was, an experienced investor, lost over $1.5 million to one of these binary options scams.
Wow. $1.5 million. That's life-altering.
Yeah, he thought he was making, calculated risks, but the game was rigged from the start.
It really goes to show it can happen to anyone, like
Yeah.
even those who consider themselves financially savvy.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just, seasoned investors who get caught up in this. Dr. Gary Lerner, he was a successful pediatric surgeon
Wow.
from Los Angeles. He fell victim to binary options fraud as well.
You'd think someone in his position, with his education, with his experience, they'd be able to spot a scam.
You would think, right? But these scams are designed to be incredibly convincing. They prey on people's desires, quick and easy money. They use these very sophisticated marketing tactics, psychological manipulation.
It's a stark reminder that really anyone can become a victim if they're not careful.
Yeah.
We even had a story shared with us anonymously from someone we're calling Star. Star lost their entire life savings, a staggering $15 million.
That's heartbreaking.
It is. And now they're struggling to rebuild their life. They're actually working with professionals to try to put the pieces back together.
I can't imagine.
And these stories, they're heartbreaking, but they're not uncommon at all in the world of binary options trading.
No, not at all.
And for some, the despair, it becomes unbearable. Like Fred Turbite. He tragically took his own life after losing $350,000.
That's just awful.
It is. And it's a stark reminder that the impact of these scams, it goes way beyond just financial loss.
Way beyond. These stories are incredibly difficult to hear, but they really highlight the very real human cost of this industry. It's why we're doing this. To shed light on these predatory practices, to give people the knowledge to protect themselves and their loved ones.
It's so easy, to hear those stories and think, well, that would never be me. I would never fall for something like that. But the reality is these scams, They are designed to be incredibly persuasive. Like, they use tactics that they really tap into, like our psychology as humans, our desires, our vulnerabilities.
Yeah, they know how to push the right buttons, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Whether it's, preying on our desire for quick wealth or the fear of missing out, even our trust in like authority figures.
So let's dig into some of those tactics a bit. What are some red flags that people should be looking out for, especially, I guess, when it comes to like the marketing, the advertising of these platforms?
Well, one of the biggest ones, one of the most common ones, is the promise of just these unrealistic returns. Turn $250 into $10,000 in an hour.
It's like those get-rich-quick schemes that we've all seen before.
Exactly. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Uh-huh.
They also use a lot of fake testimonials, success stories. You'll see these like stock photos of people, smiling, claiming they made fortunes, and it creates this false sense of legitimacy.
So they're playing on our desire to be part of the in-group, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to feel like they're missing out on something that everyone else is cashing in on.
Precisely. They want to create that sense of urgency, the fear of missing out. And that can really cloud our judgment, right? Make us more likely to act impulsively.
And once they have you on the hook, that's when what they call the brokers come in. But these aren't your typical, financial advisors, are they?
No, not at all. These brokers, they're often trained in these very high-pressure sales tactics. And at first they'll try to build rapport with you, act like your friend or your mentor, whatever it takes, all the while, encouraging you to invest more and more money.
So they're master manipulators, basically.
Yeah.
They're exploiting people's trust for their own financial gain.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's often the case. They might tell you they have inside information or they've helped countless others achieve financial freedom through, their special system. But it's all part of the con.
It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Right.
They appear friendly, they appear helpful, but underneath it all, they're just looking to take advantage.
Exactly. And another thing that's really important to be aware of is the lack of regulation in this industry.
Okay.
A lot of these fraudulent companies, they operate in these jurisdictions with little to no financial oversight at all.
So there's no one really watching the watchers, so to speak.
In many cases, no, there isn't. And that's why it's just absolutely crucial to do your own due diligence before investing in any platform.
So what steps can people take to protect themselves? Where do they even begin?
Well, a good first step is to verify the platform's legitimacy. Check and see if they're registered with a reputable regulatory body, like the SEC here in the United States.
Okay, the SEC.
Or a similar organization, depending on where you are.
So don't just take their word for it. Do your own research.
Absolutely. Look for, registration information, read online reviews from other investors, see if there have been any complaints filed against them.
And what about those regulatory bodies you mentioned, like the SEC? What exactly is their role?
So these organizations, they act as watchdogs for the financial industry, right?
Sure.
They set the rules, the regulations to help prevent fraud and protect investors.
Okay.
So if a platform is registered with the SEC or a similar organization, it means they've met certain standards and they are subject to oversight.
So it's like it adds a layer of protection, of accountability there.
Exactly. Now, even if a platform is registered, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they are 100% legitimate. Right. But it's a good indicator. But if they're not registered, huge red flag.
Just like checking if a restaurant has passed its health inspections.
Right.
You wouldn't eat at a place that hasn't been given the all clear.
Exactly. And just like you wouldn't hesitate to walk out of a restaurant that felt sketchy, don't be afraid to walk away from a binary options platform if something just doesn't feel right, no matter how enticing those promises might seem.
Just your gut.
Trust your gut.
If it smells fishy, it probably is. So we've talked a lot about the dangers, the red flags. What about some more positive steps that people can take? What are some proactive measures they can take to really protect their financial well-being?
I think one of the most important things is just to educate yourself.
Okay.
About investing, financial markets in general.
Okay.
The more you understand how things work, the less likely you are to fall prey to scams.
Knowledge is power, right? The more you know, the better equipped you are to make, smart decisions.
Exactly. And there are a ton of resources out there, online, libraries. Take some time, learn about the different investment strategies, risk management, the basics of financial markets.
It's like learning a new language, right?
Yeah.
The more fluent you become, the easier it is to navigate that world.
What about seeking professional advice? Is that something you would recommend?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're considering investing, especially in something as complex as binary options, it's always a good idea to talk to a qualified financial advisor.
Someone who's got your best interests in mind,
Right.
who can give you unbiased advice.
Exactly.
Yep.
A good financial advisor, they're going to take the time to understand your financial goals, what your risk tolerance is, your overall financial situation.
They'll help you create that personalized plan, something that really aligns with your needs and your circumstances.
Precisely. And they can also help you, spot those red flags, help you avoid those investments that maybe aren't suitable for your situation
So it's like having a trusted guide, right?
in the often, complicated world of finance.
Exactly. Think of it as an investment in your financial well-being.
Because at the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money we're talking about here. You deserve to have someone in your corner.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, better safe than sorry, especially with your money.
Oh, absolutely. Taking the time to educate yourself, getting that professional guidance, trusting your instincts, all those things can make a huge difference.
So for our listener, the person who's maybe thinking, whoa, this is kind of overwhelming,
Right.
what's the key takeaway? If they only remember one thing from this whole deep dive, what should it be?
Just be aware that binary options, often they're not what they seem. They might seem like this really simple way to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But a lot of times there's this whole web of deception there, designed to take your money. It's like House of Mirrors, right?
Yeah.
Everything looks distorted, it's confusing, and it's easy to just get totally lost or tricked.
That's a great way to put it. And remember those flashy ads we talked about, the ones promising those huge returns?
Yeah.
Those are often the first red flag. Always do your research. Dig deeper. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Question everything,
Yes.
especially if it seems too good to be true.
Exactly. And listen, you're not alone in this. There are resources available to help you make, informed decisions about your money, about your financial future.
And we'll make sure to link to some of those resources in the show notes for this episode.
Yeah.
Because knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
And being informed is the best defense against these scams.
Couldn't agree more. True financial empowerment, it comes from making informed decisions, understanding the risks involved, and never ever being afraid to walk away if something doesn't feel right.
So to wrap things up, if you're thinking about, venturing into this world, be so cautious. Do your homework and remember the stories we shared today.
Yeah, the stories are real.
Don't let the idea of getting rich quick, don't let it cloud your judgment. Don't put yourself at risk.
It's your money, it's your future, and ultimately, it's your choice. So choose wisely.
I gotta say, this has been a real eye-opener, even for me, someone who, I thought I had a decent grasp on, the world of finance. So really appreciate you guiding us through this complex and frankly, kind of scary landscape.
It's my pleasure. I really believe that the more we talk about this, the more we shed light on these issues, we give people the power to make good decisions, safer, smarter financial decisions.
Absolutely. And to our listener, hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found this episode informative and empowering.
Thanks for listening.
And until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay safe.